right. Hello there. Welcome to the Daily Space. For today, Wednesday, May 20th, I am your host, Annie Wilson, and I am here to put science into your brain. Most Mondays through Fridays, our team will be here doing just that, shoving all the science into your brains. Wednesdays are for Rocket Roundup, and today is no different. So let's get to it, shall we? So, first up was a Kuizhou 1 Alpha rocket launched to Xingyu 2 satellites from Jiuguan, my apologies, Satellite Launch Center on May 12th at 1:16 a.m. UTC. This was the 9th Kuizhou 1 Alpha flight launched from a transporter, erector launcher, or a TEL. To give you a better idea of the rocket's size, it's smaller than a Falcon 1 but bigger than an Electron. The rocket utilized 3 solid stages and 1 liquid stage of fuel. The solid fuel type is still unknown, but the liquid fuel is most likely the pretty but deadly nitrogen tetraoxide and unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine. And if you can see the image on the screen, you can see that tiny bit of orange, and that is indeed that pretty but deadly combination. CASIC dedicated this particular launch to healthcare workers in Wuhan, where the rockets are manufactured and where the novel coronavirus appeared, for their tireless efforts. Gathering information about this launch was a linguistic adventure for our team who rely on less than perfect machine-translated Chinese. Fun fact, the Chinese words for rocket and satellite translate as arrow and star, respectively. The Kuizhou 1 Alpha's payload was a pair of Xingyu 2 satellites built by Xingyu Satellite Company. These low Earth orbit satellites weigh 93 kilograms each, that's about 47 2-liter soda bottles, and are prototypes for a future 80 satellite constellation for the Internet of Things, such as communicating with sensors for polar and marine environmental monitoring, geological disaster monitoring like landslides, weather data collection for forecasting, and communication with cargo vessels for shipping and container tracking. They will test long-distance satellite-to-satellite communications independent of ground stations, meaning satellites can directly communicate with each other. While this technology already exists, it is the first time China has built such a system. Reminder, rocket launches are loud. Here is the rocket, that was the rocket on the TEL. These rockets were produced, here it is on the TEL. Boom, just like that. I neglected to turn on the audio for this, didn't I? I sure did. Oh well. Oh well. No audio for you. All right. Next up, at 9:14 Eastern or 13:14 UTC on Saturday, May 17th, the U.S. Air Force's Reusable Orbital Test Vehicle, more commonly known as the X-Ray 37 Bravo spaceplane, was launched into orbit on top of a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket from Slick 41 at Cape Canaveral, marking the start of the 6th flight since 2010. The U.S. military and ULA dedicated the launch to coronavirus first responders, frontline workers, and victims of disease. Amateur satellite trackers have calculated that the orbit appears to be about 350 kilometers in altitude and at an inclination of about 44 degrees. As you can imagine, there's not too much information available about the OTV-6 mission, but it is known, besides the classified military objectives, the spaceplane was upgraded to support additional scientific experiments, and FalconSat 8, a 136 kilogram technology demonstration satellite, which is roughly the size of a washing machine. That satellite will be launched from the OTV-6. Two of the experiments on board are being flown for NASA. One is studying the effect of ambient space radiation on seeds, while the other is a sample plate evaluating how various materials react to the conditions of space. One of the military experiments that belong to the Naval Research Laboratory will be converting solar power into microwave energy that will then be transmitted to Earth. The X-Ray 37 Bravo is a reusable spaceplane designed to deploy small satellites, host experiments, and pursue other classified objectives. It generates electricity using solar panels and can glide to land on a runway at the end of a mission autonomously. The Air Force owns two of the vehicles, both of which were built by Boeing. The previous 5 OTV missions add up to just under 8 years in orbit, with the last mission having a duration of 780 days. Yes, that is more than a year. Yes, there is a spaceplane, a classified spaceplane, going around the Earth for more than a year. I'm not going to tempt my math and say it was 2 years, but yeah, 780 days, that's a while. And here's the video for the launch. There might be sound, there might not be sound. The spaceplane is inside that huge fairing. I think I broke all the sound, my apologies, but I'm sure your ears will thank me. Video from the on-orbit cameras. The ice that you see is from the liquid oxygen and hydrogen. Some IR views of the rocket launch. This is the period of time where I realized that I cut the video, so it's going to run for about 5 minutes with no audio. But we get these glorious views of Earth and the Florida coastline. I think that might be the first stage burning out. I might be wrong. Chat is telling me to just make some rocket launch noises and swoosh noises to make up for the fact that I turned the sound off. My apologies. And Kerbal in Twitch chat points out that the Atlas 5 first stage burns for a long time. It sure does. It sure does. It takes off. It has that very slow takeoff, but it gets the job done. It gets the job done. It's so far away you can just kind of barely see it. Can't really see the Florida coastline anymore. But you still get gorgeous views of the Earth, and there it has finally gone to the computer-generated animation with the live data. So apparently now we're just going to split between Earth and the computer generation, or computer-generated image with the live data. There's the fairing. See how the fairing covered way more than the spaceplane, and you can see in the footage, you can kind of see the fairings tumbling away and down into the atmosphere. They will probably not survive re-entry. So the spaceplane is on the very end of that, and it is tiny, tiny, tiny compared to the rocket. And yes, it does have payload doors on it. Otherwise, it could not deploy those satellites. It couldn't expose the experiments up to the conditions of space. And it does very much look like, you know, the old shuttles. But this is completely autonomous. And this is the first stage separation. Just kind of, it feels like it falls away. But they are going kind of quick. You can see how far away from Earth we are at this point, or rather the rocket is at this point. And there's the spaceplane on the second stage. Ta-da! So yeah, it's feels like it's a long flight, but that's needed to get it where it needs to go in orbit. Okay, we only had those 2 rocket launches, but there's still more to talk about. Our last story of the day is about the first test of the Chinese next generation crewed spacecraft. It returned to Earth on May 8th after spending 2 days and 19 hours in orbit. The primary mission of this launch was to test several aspects of the new spacecraft. China National Space Agency announced that the it is uncrewed, but this craft is also still unnamed. Announced that the unnamed craft has passed all checks for its autonomous flight control and landing system. A new engine with non-toxic fuel, a Chinese-made ceramic heat-proof coating, as well as the parachute and airbag deployment for landing. Photos of the craft show a scorched exterior with several missing panels. In an interview with China Youth Daily, chief designer Wang Ping explained that the appearance is nominal. The missing panels were designed to separate from the craft to reveal the parachute and airbag mechanisms. The discoloration is from the protective white outer coating vaporizing off due to the heat and friction encountered during re-entry in the atmosphere. The biggest differences between this craft and current Chinese spacecraft is the size and how far it can travel. The current Chinese craft is only capable of carrying 3-person crews to low Earth orbit for space stations and don't have the capability needed for lunar missions. This new craft is larger and will be able to carry up to 7 taikonauts for a space station mission with a bit of rearrangement of the cabin up to 500 kilograms, that's 252-liter bottles of cargo, can be transported along with 3 taikonauts on either space station or lunar missions. And here is some video of the landing. Some Chinese netizens have noted that the craft kind of looks like an owl with the two big empty cylinders on the front. You'll be able to kind of see that later. Here's the atmospheric entry in IR. Heat shield separation. Heat shields on the bottom of the craft. And there you can see the 3 parachutes. Parachutes in spacecraft are actually a big deal because it's very difficult to simulate it. So it landed safely. I know it landed pretty much about where they had anticipated it would land, which is great for the automated landing system. Some really grainy footage of, I'm assuming this is the first bit of footage of the craft after it landed and some recovery crews. This was probably taken from a helicopter. And here it is on the ground in all of its scorched glory. And here is a really good shot of that, again, of the 2 empty cylinders that make some Chinese netizens think this looks like an owl or a helmet of a certain Star Wars character. And I'm giggling because there's actually memes that go with that image, but I will not share them. My apologies. So to wrap things up, here's a running tally of a few spaceflight statistics for the current year. We have burned up 2 toilets in orbit. There are 408 new satellites in orbit compared to the beginning of the year. That includes those launched from other in-orbit craft like the ISS. 392 of those new satellites have come directly from launches. There have been 33 launch attempts so far for the year, including 4 failures. And here's how that breaks down. That's a typo. It says 110 for the US, but that's not right. That's not right at all. So I keep track of orbital launches by where they launched from. Here's that breakdown. USA 11, China 9. It's either 9 or 10. My apologies. I don't know what happened to this slide. Kazakhstan 4, French Guiana 2, Russia 2, Iran 2, New Zealand 1, Japan 1. And your useless space fact for the week is that Venus compromises 41% by mass of the inner solar system compared to 50% for the Earth and only 5% for Mars. That's literally a quote from the paper, What is the oxygen isotope composition of Venus? The scientific case for sample return from Earth's sister planet, authored by Richard C. Greenwood and Minash Anand. And that was published earlier this month in Space Science Reviews. I'm going to put the link in chat if you'd like to check that out. And paste. So that pretty much rounds out our show for today. Thank you all for listening. I've been your host, Annie Wilson. Today's script was written and edited by a whole host of people, including Dave Ballard, Gordon Dewis, Ellie Pelfrey, Favorite Human, and myself. Our web content will be produced by Beth Johnson. Our executive producer and fearless leader is Dr. Pamela Gay. This has been a production of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. We are here thanks to the generous contributions of people just like you. Want to become a supporter of the show? Check us out at patreon.com/CosmicQuestX. Also, it is plague times. Do not worry about supporting us if it will harm you. Please, please do not feel obligated to send pledges, bits, subscriptions, donations, any of that. Please make sure that you are taken care of before reaching out and supporting others. Please, we will be okay. I feel like I need to say this because, yeah, we will be okay. Okay, so there were questions in chat, so I'm going to scroll up through them and read them all and things of that nature. So, yeah, let's do this. Okay, so what did I have? I had, and yes, Amazon Prime subs are free if you have Amazon Prime, which is not free. All right, so I know a certain somebody wants me to show that meme, so let me go ahead and just pull up that meme because it is kind of hilarious. It is kind of hilarious. I have to find it. Just give me 1 second. Copy link. Not that one. Not that one. Close tabs. Close all the tabs. Okay. I think I finally got a window where we can dump this in. Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. That has sound. That has sound. Yeah, Kerbal wanted the meme. Kerbal wanted the meme. It has sound. I can't even apologize for that. I will try to turn it down. Okay, Kerbal wanted the sound. Please protect your ears. I'm going to turn ducking on. Here is the meme. Yeah, now the sound works. I know, right? No! Go back! All right. Okay, so that is that. And I have to stop it before it'll go to the next video because it just wants to autoplay. I've also seen memes created. Stop! I've also seen memes created of it as, sorry, I don't think that they're posted in this comment thread. They're not. I've seen memes comparing it to a certain helmet from Star Wars. Okay, so all right, let's scroll up and find all the questions and comments and things of that nature. So it's going to take me a second. Kerbal says, grab science shovel. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. So AstroWise asked, any guesses on how long the spaceplane mission is going to be? Each mission has been longer than the last. So I would not be surprised if this one ends up being longer than 780 days, which that's still a mind-blowing number to me because it was up there for well over 2 years. So yeah, we might not see or hear about this plane other than the fact that it's up there for another 2 years. And yes, broken symmetry. There are payload doors on the X-37 Bravo. It does open up to release satellites like the Falcon Sat 8, and there are experiments inside that will be exposed to radiation, all that other fun stuff. So we could make rocket noises. I know. I think it's because I muted the YouTube video when we were done with the Japanese launch. I don't think there was a dummy or a anatomical collection unit to collect forces that would be felt by the Taigonauts on the still unnamed next generation crewed craft. I do know that they had all sorts of experiments inside of it, and that was everything from, I think, seeds, exposing seeds to radiation, to I think there may have been some 3D printing done while it was in orbit. It was wild, and there was just so much information. They had a parade for the capsule, kind of, when they brought it back to where it was manufactured. The whole thing was pretty interesting, and sometimes I just have to cut a whole lot of information out just to get down to, the marrow of it all. Oh, thank you, Raj. Thanks for tuning in. And see you, Ironheart. Yes, lightsabers. All right, so Kerbal's saying July 5th, 2022. I'm assuming that's when Kerbal expects to hear about the spaceplane again. Because, yeah, it's just, the whole thing's electric, runs on solar power. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. It just can't get itself up to orbit by itself. It's like, it's an electric powered glider. I think that's the way. So, yeah, it was a really long stream, Guido. T-Man says, SpaceX's booster should static fire for this week. Yes. Yes, T-Man. I know Dr. Pamela is going to cover the crewed launch, and she's going to cover the crewed launch stream. So that's who's going to be covering it. I will probably still make bingo for it, etc., etc. But yeah. So, Starship static fired yesterday. I knew that they were trying to work on it. So, on Monday, oh wow. So, okay. And then it caught fire and no one has been around it since. That's kind of hilarious. That's hilarious. It's all Blur's Day. Don't worry about getting the day of the week right. It's all Blur's Day. I kind of hope that this helps you remember that Rocket Wednesday, or Rocket Roundup, is Wednesdays. We actually call it Rocket Wednesday. So that is pretty much all I had for y'all. I have a meeting I need to get ready for, and it has been a long stream. We've been doing this for a while. I appreciate everybody hanging around for the news. I'm glad I was able to serve you up literally the freshest rocket news available. We will talk more about today's launch next week. And with that, yeah, y'all are awesome. Just the usual. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where the roll credits bar button is. If it weren't for Twitch streams, I wouldn't have any idea of what day it is, says Bad Panda Bear. So until next time, Weekly Space Hangout is tonight. So until next time, have a wonderful insert time of day here. Be safe, wash your hands, be kind, do your best. And I will see you all soon. All right. Bye.